All right, we are live. Love it for the webinar today on how do you handle your fear and handle self-sabotage and how do you get over all that and move past that. This is one of those subjects that the reason I'm doing the webinar on it is I literally get asked about it consistently, constantly from people. It's probably one of the most debilitating things that people go through that I think dismantles their happiness, their success, on all levels. Could be health and fitness, could be relationship, it could be certainly business and making money. So we're gonna deal with these things and literally teach you the strategies that I work with people from in my private clients, my Success Inner Circle clients, people I've worked with all around the world, business leaders, celebrities, all the rest of the things. And yes, even celebrities and business leaders have fear and self-sabotage. See, because one of the things, just we'll get started with this, is that one of the things that people don't really understand is that we all go through the same stuff. Everybody's got fear. Everybody's got doubt. Everybody's got insecurity. The difference between the people who have the results that you think you want in your life and average people, well, the only difference is that we learn how to manage how we think and feel differently. Because when you manage it differently, you're going to respond differently, act. And when you act differently, you're going to produce a different result. But we all go through it. And I can tell you, I have some very, very, very successful celebrity friends, some of the biggest stars in Hollywood. And I've seen them, fearful and sad and even depressed when you would think, how is that possible? But they're people. They're people and they go through it. One of the people I'm referring to, he's one of the biggest stars Hollywood's ever produced, and it's just how he manages it, right? And that's why he gets a different result. So that's what we're going to work on today. So be super excited. So I'm going to open up the chat room. So just so I know, because by the way, the only way to fail in life is the failure to participate. So right now in the chat room, I'd like you to light up and let me know that you're here, because that's where it all starts. Saying, I'm here, I'm ready to rock, I'm ready to participate. So say it on and we'll get going with that. And also is that I'm going to give you real powerful content today, real powerful strategies. So I highly recommend that you participate, that you answer questions in the chat room, because again, you're going to learn at another level and you're going to assimilate it at another level. So participate that way. Certainly take notes. And then at the end of the program is I have an offer for you guys. And so what I'd like from you is, and again, it's, people go, good, he's going to try to sell me something and whatever. Let me address that for a moment. First is I used to give away free seminar tickets. I used to give away free books. I used to give away free audio programs. And the funny part is none of those things ever got used, because I figured out I was doing people a disservice because I wasn't helping them invest in themselves. And if you don't invest in yourself, you don't value it. The library is filled with free books, but I don't see anybody there reading them, right? So if I don't promote what I do and help you with that, I can't help you change your life. You listen to today's webinar, you go, oh, that's nice and fluffy, and you go home and you do your same old thing and nothing changes. And then later on in life, you have regret because you go, man, I should listen to that bald, crazy American guy because I would have been farther ahead in life. So yeah, I'm going to let you know about something at the end of the webinar, but there's an amazing offer to it. It's a game changer, life changer. You're going to love it. So if that's okay with you, what I'd like is your permission just in the chat room. Say, yep, game on. I'm excited about that. But it's all going to be backed with all the amazing content that I'm going to give you today. So I'd like to see it in the chat room. So look, I see Fred, Greg, Deborah. Game on. Awesome. Raul, Ray, Penny, Kat, Jeannie. Awesome. Great. Awesome. Jan, Diane. Great. So it's awesome to have you guys here. So let's start right in with the content, because again, like I said, this is one of those subjects that, and by the way, is, it's fear, it's doubt, it's insecurity. We all have that. The challenge comes in is that when we turned it into a self-sabotaging program that literally takes us off our game and ruins the ability to get our goals and dreams, or worse, you got something good going for you and then you shoot yourself in the foot and screw it up. Like, as an example, is, you have the relationship of your dreams and you have a great partner, rest of those things, and then you go do something that you might not have even normally done or said or acted in a certain way, and you just dismantle it and destroy it until there's nothing left. And then afterwards, you're like, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? Well, I will tell you that there is a programming. It's a conditioned pattern. So there's nothing wrong with you. The truth is that your system's working perfectly. It's just been wired incorrectly. But the system itself is working perfectly. There's nothing wrong with you. There's no baby that's born and the baby has self-sabotage. It just doesn't happen, right? That's not something that happens. So what it is then is it's a program that we install, and it's all going to come down to a key factor known as perception, right? It's one of the P's I call the P's of power. Perception is that in life, there is no truth. There's only interpretation. And so the reason I say this is so powerful is because it's all based in the perception or the interpretation that something's going to bring us pleasure or something else is going to perceive to be painful. And this is where it all comes in. So with self-sabotage, somewhere in our brain, we've linked up that if I go through, like, for instance, let's talk about money for a reason, for an example, because a lot of people have money as an issue. One of the things I've always said is that, money is not the root of all evil. Poverty is. And as soon as you say that, like, you go on Facebook and you say that, you get all these people coming back at you like, money doesn't buy you happiness, and there's a lot of rich people who are miserable. And what you're seeing is people defending their position of staying poor. But if you know the truth is that, poverty is what creates pain. Poverty is what creates gangs, and it creates terrorism, because there's no happy, successful people who are strapping bombs to themselves and blowing up innocent people. It doesn't happen. And there's no successful, happy people who are, joining gangs and selling drugs on the street. That's not what happens. It's poverty that sucks these people in to go do things that they normally wouldn't probably do, and they get brainwashed into it, and then it creates havoc. So, and again, the program's not really about wealth. It's just one of those subjects that people self-sabotage themselves. And I used to be one of those people. I'll give you an example of that is that when I used to be an actor in Hollywood, I got invited to an audition to be one of the leads with Jack Lemmon and Charles Durning, an Academy Award nominated actor, and Jack Lemmon, highly credited actor and an award winner. And I didn't read, by the way, at that time I was living in my car when I got that audition, and I didn't study my script. I didn't study my lines. I went in and literally did the worst audition ever, not just in my career, probably in anybody's career. And the worst part of the story was it was actually Charles Durning, who I was doing my first speaking role in a movie. He was in the movie. He was the one who got me the audition without me even knowing it. And not only did I embarrass myself, but I embarrassed him. And when I saw him on the set that night after my audition, he was really angry at me and disappointed in me. There was no excuse I could come up with. Now, here's my point. Making the money from that movie and having that movie would have opened up my career, would have certainly got me out of my car. Why would a guy not, practice his lines and audition? Well, that's called self-sabotage. Well, because in my brain, I linked up through past experiences that if I made a lot of money, it would make me a jerk, that I think I'm better than other people, and that I would all of a sudden, start treating people poorly and the rest of those things. And this is a subconscious thought. And so, and the fear of becoming that bad person overwhelmed me subconsciously. And that's why I self-sabotage. So it doesn't make any rational sense. It's emotional. But here's the thing. We're not actually rational creatures. We're emotional creatures. And so that's why we have to learn how to manage how we think and feel, because when we do that, like when we feel differently, you notice that you're going to think differently. And when you think differently, you're going to have more creative thought. That more creative thought put into action is going to create a new result. Makes sense, right? So if that makes sense to you, get in the chat right now and say, Kurek, that starts to make sense. I'm getting it. I'm already excited. And tell me if you're excited right now about what you're learning. Again, participate. If you sit there and listen, you retain a very small amount of the information. If you participate, you're going to get it at a whole nother level. Awesome. I see Sharon saying, yep, game changer. Penny saying, yep. Tracy saying, makes sense. Awesome. So we have to manage how we think and feel differently, and we have to work on our perception. Now, one of the things is that, like, for instance, people, they don't go for their goals and dreams because they feel, man, if I get, and by the way, again, this is kind of subconscious, and that's why you have to bring it to your consciousness and ask yourself, what am I really fearing? What is it? So a lot of people go, well, I'm afraid about my goals. Really, is it? Or is it about maybe going for your goals and not achieving your goals and then having your heart broken that you missed? So we have to really break it down, because then once you do, you go, man, that kind of sounds ridiculous. See, because if I don't go for my goal, I'm never going to get it. But a lot of people subconsciously feel that if I stay in my comfort zone and I don't go after my grand dream goals, that there's no chance of me failing at it, because I never really started it. And if I fail at it, all my dreams are going to be shattered, because I don't know if I have it in me to not get it again, to not make it this time. But here's the thing: if we don't go for our goals, we're definitely not going to get them. And once you start, shifting that, you go, wait a minute, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And we can walk ourselves through this just through talking ourselves through. And then you go, wait a minute, what am I, it could be asking somebody out. Well, what if I ask them out and they shoot me down? I'm going to feel embarrassed. Well, if you don't ask them out, you're never going to get the date. You're never going to have the relationship, right? People go, oh, I don't know about, I don't want to get in business and fail in business. Well, if you want to guarantee failing in, business, don't get in business, because you've already failed before you started, because you'll never make it. The one thing is that you're going to get yourself in motion, and you go, okay, what am I fearing? Now, here's the key to this, because you're going to love this. This is really exciting. All of those discomforting feelings that we have, like I'm afraid of failing in business, or I'm afraid of asking that person out because they might turn me down, or I'm afraid of losing the weight because when I'm in shape, people aren't going to pay the same sorry attention to me that I used to get, or whatever it is. All those discomforting feelings are calls to action. That's a game changer. It's a call to action. So it's trying to get you what you want, and yet it's preparing you for the journey in front of you, and it's a call to action. So I'll give you an example of this. When Aaron and I first became family and moved in with each other, and the kids all joined up as family, I woke up one day and I was feeling a little fluttery. Now, fluttery is my term for anxiety. I just don't use intense words, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But because if you use intense words, you're going to feel intensely. So I changed the term anxiety to fluttery. Because think about this for a second, and I want to see you guys write this in the chat room, is which of those words sound more intense to you? Anxiety or anxiety attack, or fluttery? Which one sound more intense? Write it in the chat room. I'm waiting. It's all right. I know there's a lag time. So, well, as you'll notice that if you use intense words, you feel intensely. So I use less intense words. Again, as you're noticing, here's my strategies to get yourselves out of this debilitating state, right? Then I go, okay, so I came in the office. I was, it was early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm feeling a little fluttery. And I just asked myself, because here it is. I'll tell you where this comes from. And, you get some of your amazing lessons in this most profound places in life. is when I was a kid, when I had nightmares, my mom, in her wisdom, you know, she'd ask me what would happen in a nightmare. And I go, oh, this bad guy was chasing me, or the monster. And my mom said, face it, face the monster and it will go away, right? If you run from it, it's going to get bigger. Face it, turn and face it. And you'll see it's not as big as you think it is. And, you know, my mom was just being a loving mom in those days, but her wisdom was profound. And so it's the same thing, is you want to turn and face, like in this example, what am I feeling the fluttery about? And I go, money issues. Because all of a sudden there's 5 people living here together. And Erin had left her job so she could start working in a business. But we knew there would be a lag time before the business would pick up to compensate for that income that was now missing. But we had to invest in doing business together. So there's going to have to be that time. We're going to have to, you know, jump ship from the job and come into the business. So if not now, when? So let's do it. And this wasn't a conscious thought, like, oh God, what are we going to do? Money, you know, it was somewhere in my subconscious, something I probably thought about, woke me up. I'm feeling a little fluttery. So I asked myself, okay, what am I feeling fluttery about? Now I don't have to get all emotional. I don't have to get all dark. I don't have to get heavy with the emotion. I'm just asking myself questions. So I'm going, you know what? Money issues. So what's the call to action? Like, you know, like money issues. How are we going to pay the bills and feed the family on one income now and blah, blah. And I go, okay, what's the call to action? And this one's going to blow your mind. Make more money. So as you see, that uncomfortable feeling, it was trying to actually get me what I wanted, which was success and comfort in the family and provided for and the rest of those things. So I go, great. So what's the call to action? Well, pick up a book on business or making money or do an online course or watch videos on YouTube. I mean, ask yourself the question, not, oh God, I don't know how to make more money and I'm in a boat and that's not going to help you. Ask the question, how can I do it? Who can help me? Where can I get this information? This is a game changer. Is that you start going, man, you know what? All the answers are out there. All I have to do is ask for them. Quit telling yourself that you can't do it, because that, by the way, that's going to make the fear grow. Why? That warning system, that alert system is going to get louder, trying to tell you you're going the wrong direction. Use it for what it's for. It's a call to action. It's telling you to do something different. And as soon as you do that, you'll notice, like, so for instance, if we go back to you're in a great relationship and you notice that, you know, maybe you're self-sabotaging it, or maybe you're going for some of your goals, or self-sabotaging it. Maybe there's a fear in there that if I get my goal and I lose it, then I'm really going to feel bad. Like, what if I make the money and I can't keep it, or I get myself in financial trouble, or can't pay my taxes, or whatever that is? So you got to just face it and break it down and go, well, you know what? I'm afraid that if I make the money, I'm going to lose my friends. Okay. So what's the call to action to that? Well, strengthen your relationship. Work on yourself so that you don't become a bad person when you make money. Learn how to do better business strategies, because you go, man, if I'm afraid that I'm going to build a business and then it's going to collapse because I don't know what I'm doing, the call to action is get better at business. Start educating. So as you see, this is a game changer. Game changer. So in the chat room again, let's action up and let me know what you think so far, and what's dawning on you, and what are the aha moments that you're getting so far. Because this is, you know, everybody I've worked with who's had anxiety or massive anxiety attacks, you first you lower the intensity of the words, use it as a call to action. All of a sudden it gets you into gear. Done. No more anxiety attacks. And whenever they've started to feel a little fluttery, instead of letting themselves get intensely fluttery like they used to with the anxiety attack, excuse me, whenever they start to feel it, instantly they recognize the call to action and they're like, got it. Oh, game changer. And then it goes away. So this is like the light on your dashboard. Your oil light comes on. Well, when the oil light comes on, you don't smash your car into a tree, freaking out. You look at it and you go, put oil in the car or check the oil. That's all it's telling you to do. Well, if your oil is low, you don't like start your car on fire, right? That doesn't make any sense. No, what you do is you go put some oil in the car, call to action. Oil light told me we're low on oil. I checked the oil. We're low on oil. Call to action. Put the oil in. You put the oil in, guess what? Light goes out. Well, that's all these discomforting feelings are those things. So fear, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It comes down to what do you do with your fear? And most people don't actually fear failure. They actually fear success, because if you really feared failure, you'd move away from that discomforting feeling and it would drive you to be successful. So by people not being successful where they are, you can see that they actually fear the success more than they fear the failure, because we're trying to avoid what we're fearing. That's why you want to face it and you want to look at it and go, wait a minute, that's ridiculous. But as soon as we start to face it, you'll notice that it's not as big as you used to think it is. So at our, Aaron and I, we do an amazing retreat that people just love. And you want to talk about a life-changing experience. It's called Find Your Fire, right? And in it, we have the firewalk experience. Now, I got to tell you is when people first get to the program, they're like, I want all the content, but I don't know if I want that firewalk. I don't want the firewalk. And by the way, Kurek, I know you've taken tens of thousands of people firewalking safely, and kids firewalking, and paraplegics on their hands, and you've even taken your mom firewalking and your 12-year-old daughter. But I'm the one person who's going to screw this up. By the way, you wouldn't believe how many people actually think they're going to be the first person to screw this up, right? Then as the program's going on and they're starting to put real lasting changes into their life, and I mean, it's a game changer, this program. Then we go out to the firewalk, and all of a sudden, all the stuff that they thought they learned in the program for a moment seems to fade, because now you're really facing the fire and you can feel the heat up by your face, right? And you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. And then there's that moment where you go, wait a minute. I want to see what it feels like to be unstoppable. I want to turn maybe I had it once in my life. Maybe I never had it. But I, at this moment, am tired of feeling, held back by what's been holding me back, and held back by fear, and held back by procrastination. I want to see what it feels like to be unstoppable. You want to feel unstoppable again? And then you get there and you go, you know what? I'm doing this. And they face their fear. Now, what does that fear tell you to do? Well, it tells you in the firewalk, turn it on. Turn on your energy. Turn on that warrior in you. Take that first step. Move forward. And all of a sudden you do that because you realize, and by the way, I've done hundreds of firewalks. Hundreds. I'm the world record holder. I did 81 meters of fire. And I got to tell you, I had fear. People think, Kurek, he's bulletproof. He's unstoppable. Man, when you're thinking about almost a football field, the fire sitting in front of you, and I had guys with wheelbarrows dropping out fresh coals in front of me as I was walking, so somebody couldn't say that they cooled off by the time I made it to the end. I had fear, but what did that tell me to do? Focus, turn it on, get serious, play the game. Here it is. Turn it all on. And that's what the fear did for me. It was a call to action to turn on your system, to play the game at a higher level. And then you make it across the coals. A lot of people, they get, stopped, wiped off their, they wipe off their feet. They get their feet hosed off so there's no red hot stuck to their feet. They're celebrating down a ton of love of all the people who've walked before them. And they're like, man, that wasn't even as hard as I thought it was. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was. And if I can do that, I can do anything, because now you have more reference that you go, man, if I can do that, I can do anything. And that's why it's a game changer. And that's all the firewalk really is. It's a reference to say, man, if I can do this, I can do anything. So it's always a call to action. And that's why in order for things to change, I must change. And so if we've been running from our fear, it's time to face our fear, because the truth is, when you face your fear, you grow the most. That's what it's for. I just recently got my black belt in Aikido. I've been training for over 10 years. And it's a long journey. And the motto is that you wear your white belt so long, so dirty, it finally turned black. And I got to tell you, after 10 years of training, and by the way, the guy that I graded with, his name's Phil, the two of us are the most seasoned. I don't want to say older because I don't actually participate really in time. We're the most seasoned people who've spent more rotations around the sun than any other people grading for their black belt in the history of the dojo, which has been almost 30 years now, 29 years it's been open. And I got to tell you is, you know, you go up to grading and I have fear. You know, what if I fail? What if I forget? What if I miss? What if I screw up and, you know, don't get it? Awesome. What's it tell me to do? Turn it on. Turn it on. Play the game at a different level. Give it your very best. And people ask me, what happens if you would have failed? I go, I show up on Monday and I keep training. See, because I'm not backing down. Fear doesn't stop me. Fear prepares me. It gets me ready. As a skydiver, when I be a skydiver, what did fear do? Fear got me to be a great and safe skydiver. I made sure I bought the best equipment. It's funny, you go to buy skydiving equipment and they show you the discount stuff. And why would you want to save money on your skydiving equipment? But the thing is that it taught me how to be safe. It taught me how to pay attention. It taught me how to be, you know, get more skills. Pay attention and be the best at it you can be so that you can enjoy it. And also, if something goes wrong, you have the chance to save your life, which, by the way, I did have a major malfunction on my a jump, and all my training paid off. See, that's what fear did for me. It made me prepared. So it's about changing your perception about having fear. Instead of going, man, you know, I'm fearful, there's something wrong with me, it's debilitating me, blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute. I'm fearful. My system's working perfect. Now, what am I going to do with it? Well, first, I'm going to face it. And second is I'm going to ask myself, what am I fearful about? I'm fearful about if I ask the person out, they're going to say no to me. And I go, well, they're definitely going to say no if I don't ask them out because there's no way you'll get the date. Right? And so what's it tell me to go do? Well, maybe prepare myself. Maybe you want to take a shower or but I'm kidding. You know, is get yourself, you know, in that good emotional place. Don't go over there going, well, you want to ask me out. Nobody's going to say yes to that. Get yourself in that best place. Work on your self-confidence. You know, G yourself up and go over there and present yourself in the best way. And if somebody says no to me in that example, well, because by the way, is when I was a teenager and I, you know, I asked people out and I got said no to it. It inspired me to ask more people out because I thought, you know what, I don't like being turned down, you know, or shot down or whatever that is, or even if it was just asking somebody to dance at a school dance and somebody said no, it taught me how to get better at asking people out because I didn't like that feeling. See, so there's that a discomforting feeling that's telling you how to take action. This is a life changer. Right. So here we go. Get into the chat room and tell me what you've learned so far. What's the aha moment for you that you've learned? Love this. Dawn saying whoever said no to you. More people than you can imagine. The thing is, I also figured out back when I was a teenager that, you know, I asked more people out, you get a better chance of saying yes. You know, that wouldn't shoot me down. And it did. It taught me that, you know, a lot of things. Matter of fact, when I worked in Hollywood, a lot of Hollywood starlets that I worked with never got a date because guys were intimidated to ask them out. So, you know, everybody thought, oh, they're too big. They wouldn't want to go out with me. They would sit around without a date because nobody would ask them out. I mean, think about that. So it was a whole perception in people's heads that they wouldn't say yes to me because they're so popular. But instead, nobody was asking them out. You actually had a chance to get a yes because you'd be different than other people who'd actually take the action. So again, as you can see in that, there's a call to action. Let's see. No one is going to purchase my program unless I ask them to. That's what Sharon said. Absolutely. And, you know, so again, Sharon now we're talking business and selling your product. So maybe you're out there and you want to be a coach or a speaker or a teacher or whatever that is. And you're like, oh man, I can't get the sales, you know, so I'm afraid to get into sales because what if, you know, I don't make any money? What's the call to action? get education, learn how to get better at sales. Who can teach me? Where can I learn those things? And by the way, most of us who are great at sales, we started off being terrible at sales. And that inspired us or drove us to want to learn how to get great at sales. Tried to write 2 other books before How Would Love Respond and failed because I quit. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't even read the tripe that I wrote myself in those 2 other books because it was just babble on paper. It was just babble. It went nowhere, right? But I didn't want to die with my music in me. So what did it teach me? Well, not quit and say, oh, you can't write, you're suck, and you're, no. Learn how to write. Hired a wordsmith, teach me how to structure, learn about publishing, learn about publicity, learn about marketing. And all of a sudden, within 4 hours of release, How Would Love Respond takes #1 on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. I had 15 bestsellers list. Now I get paid to teach other people how to become international bestsellers. So if you listen to my example, I started off as a person who didn't know how to do it and failed, got inspired by that to educate myself and put that education into application. And not only did I produce a result, but now I get paid to teach other people how to produce that result. If I can do it, anybody can do it because it's that same formula. Use those uncomfortable feelings as calls to action because that's what they are. If you have guilt, which is a call to action, it means that you're probably not living up to your own values. Get yourself back on track, and the guilt light goes out. If you have fear of dying, a lot of people have a fear of dying. What does that tell you to do? Live. Pull all the stops out and live your life, because at the end of your life, when you are going to die, which is going to happen one day anyways, is you look back and you have a lot of regret. You'll go, you know what? I died a long time ago because I never lived. I might have been alive, but I was like a zombie who never lived. So you got to pull the stops out. So as you see, all these discomforting feelings are calls to action. You look at times in your life when you self-sabotaged. What's the call to action? You know what? Work on myself. Face why I self-sabotaged. Not, and this is not about beating yourself up and going into a lack of self-love issue. This is about, you want to literally just get technical about it and go, okay, why? What do I do that for? Oh, you know what? I have a fear of relationships because of this. Great. What would that tell you to do? Work on getting over that fear. Work on self-confidence. Go to personal development programs. Get yourself a coach. Come to the Find Your Fire retreat and learn about becoming unstoppable and meditation and mindfulness and quieting your mind and all the things that we do with people. It's a game changer. And again, if it's not me, if it's not our program, it's not me coaching, go find somebody immediately though. Don't sit back and become your same old self and then later on not live your life and get to the end of your life and look back and go, what was I thinking? Why? I could have had a whole different experience. Because instead of letting your fear crush you, let your fear become that propellant that drives you to be successful. I used to fear public speaking. I was terrified of it. I remember being in speech class in high school and having like a 2-minute speech, and 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. And I still ran out of content, like there you are for like 45 seconds of quiet time because you can't even figure out what to talk about. Right. And now I do multiple 12-hour long day speaking engagements, and I still have to cut content out, and I love it. And I've been in front of thousands and thousands of people at one time, and there you are in front of 5,000 people speaking. It's you. Here's a guy who was afraid to be in front of 20 classmates. Now you're in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people. What changed? Well, that uncomfortable feeling of fear of public speaking, fear of failing, fear of running out of content, fear of not being interesting, said, okay, what's the call to action? Learn how to get better at content. Learn how to get better at being a speaker. Who can teach me how to do that? Where can I learn that? And now I'm rated as, one of the premier speakers around the world. I've worked in 17 countries. I've been on stage with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've worked with Tony Robbins. Now, wait a minute. What changed is I used it as a call to action. So now I'm going to open up the chat room for questions because I really want to tailor this towards before we run out of time today. And, maybe there's something specific that you want to work on, some strategies. So get in the chat room right now. Let me know where you are, what I can help you with. Maybe it's an aha moment. I'd also love to hear what you got out of this so far and if it's been of value to you. Be a moment of silence because I know the chat room takes a moment to catch up. But look, guys, I've worked with people all over the world, from celebrities, business leaders, mom and pop businesses, athletes, sporting teams, Olympic gold medalists, people from everyday walks of life. A woman who had 7 diagnosed personalities. She was schizophrenic. I worked with her until she was a harmonized individual person. Now she's in martial arts, and she has friends, and she has a roommate, she has a job. Her whole life's different. People with anxiety, people with depression, people on antidepressants. We're all going through the same stuff. It's obvious that we deal with it differently, right? So for me, is I want to teach content that works for everybody all the time, and no exceptions, that it's guaranteed to work as long as you put it into action. And that's why it comes down to the laws of science. It comes down to laws of physics, the laws of nature. These are laws. One of those laws is cause and effect, which says every result is the byproduct of a certain action or series of actions. Well, that in the universe, the word universe means everything, all inclusive, right? So in the universe are these laws, and that law of cause and effect. Well, that means every result that's ever been produced, or even if it hasn't been produced yet, there is an action or series of actions that will produce it. I love that. I love that. And by the way, Helen Keller, who was blind, deaf, and dumb, we still know who Helen Keller is. Man, if she can succeed in life and she can make a mark in the world, well, what's our excuse for not doing it? Right? And there's a lot of other people who've been way worse off than us who've made it. So of course we can do it. And, for 60,000 years of human experience, man dreamed about flying. The only reason I say 60,000 years is they say that that's when the Aboriginal people, the oldest culture in the world that we know of, existed, or at least they're still on the planet to this day. I'm guessing they dreamed about flying. They saw birds and they, had that, I'd like to fly, and I'm sure they tried things and it failed. So for 60,000 years, human beings have wanted to fly. Nobody figured out. Then you have 2 bicycle repairmen, the Wright brothers, who figured it out. Then within 100 years, under 100 years of the Wright brothers figuring out flying, we had supersonic jets, man landing on the moon, Voyager going out. Now it's on the edge of our solar system, going into another solar system. So the thing is, the law of aerodynamics always existed. That result always existed. We just had to figure out what action would produce getting that result. And once we did it, we expand on it rapidly. So everything that you want is out there. As Deepak Chopra says, it's the field of infinite possibilities. All we have to do is start going, wait a minute, what's the call? What's the action that will produce that? And any discomforting feeling we get once we set out on that desire is trying to help us get the desire. See, that's a perceptual shift. Instead of saying it's trying to keep me from it or crush me, it's trying to help me get it, but it's also preparing me to do what I need to do to go get it, to go achieve it. It's a game changer. So here we go. I got some great stuff coming up in the chat room. Sharon saying, I've said it before, that if you're not networking, you're not working. How do you build a powerful, successful network? It's a great question. Number one is be the person that would be great to network with, right? So that's, by the way, that doesn't mean perfect. It means that you need to be an ongoing student. It needs to be a person who stops getting consumed by their fear, instead of starts using their fear to drive them forward, to get them better, to be smarter, more skillful. People want to be around people like that. And you'll notice that, and then think about yourself as an asset, not as somebody going, oh God, I really like to hang out with that person. I think they're great. look, I've been friends with Sylvester Stallone since I was 18 years old, and Sly still to this day. You know, I was just invited to go to his house to watch the Super Bowl. You know, I'm still in the close contact with him in that regard. I've always treated him like a human being. I've always been respectful for who he is and what he's accomplished, yet he's a human being, and I know my value. And I don't go in there going, oh God, you're somebody, I'm nobody. I go in there knowing who I am. And that's a benefit to the network, right? Because no successful person wants to hang out with a loser. And the only person that makes that person a loser is ourselves. So we got to step up and we got to see ourselves as a value to the network. And what can I bring to it? And you'll notice you start attracting to it. But also is you have to maintenance those friendships. That means you got to get on the phone. You got to get on the email. You got to stay in contact with people. You can't just collect cards at a networking breakfast and think that that's networking. That's not. That's called card collecting. I mean, I hope you do something with those cards. So, you know, we want to be that asset. We want to be on that frequency because the like energy attracts like energy. So it's a great question. Also, you know, we have our program called the Success Inner Circle, which it's about, me coaching you for a year, but also is helping you provide you with that ongoing, ever growing network of like-minded people. And I got to tell you, it's in the Success Inner Circle. We've actually had relationships happen. We've had friendships happen. We've had business happening with each other. We've had associations and, things coming together on it. And people are catching up for coffees, the rest of these things. So again, is look for organized groups like the Success Inner Circle that we have. So if it's not our group, they're out there. And then get yourself in the mix, but then participate at that new level of frequency of who you are. And guess what? People want to hang out with people who are like them, who are, and that's not perfect. It's our imperfectness that makes us perfect human beings. It's the person who's working on themselves. That's who we want to be around. And me, I'm an ongoing student. I go to workshops. I read books. Every day I'm reading. Every day I'm working on myself. And that's why people want to come to my programs. People want coaching from me. The rest of those things, because they go, man, he's just like me. He's been down and out. Look where he is. And he's still working on himself. If he can do it, I can do it. So that's how you perform. That's a great question. So thanks for that question. Tanya saying, been amazing. Thank you. My self-sabotage has come to me believing the negativity from the toxic ex-husband 25 years ago. Spreading my wings every now and then it sneaks back in. All right, so Tanya, let me address that for a moment. First is I'm not taking anybody's sides because that's not what I do. Is I would drop the whole toxic ex-husband. Is you got to remember is that you chose to be in a relationship with that person. See, this is taking responsibility, not blame, responsibility, the ability to choose how we respond, responsibility, the ability to choose how we respond is, I had my first wife, Marie, awesome person, had multiple affairs on me, got pregnant with my best friend's child. They're married, have 3 kids. They're happily married. Instead of being pissed off, I was grateful. You know why? First, I didn't marry her by accident. She didn't hold a gun to my head and said, you got to marry me. I took full responsibility for that. Second is I didn't cheat. She did. And by the way, that doesn't make her a bad person. What that makes her is a person who is doing the best she could with the skills and tools she had. That's obviously a sign who doesn't know of a person who knows what she wants, right? Because if she knew what she wants, she'd move towards that. Well, Ben, the guy she's with, my ex-best friend, and the reason I call him ex-best friend is I only associate with people that add value to my life. But I've made up with them. I've hugged them. I'm at peace. I want them to be happy. Maybe that was my job to bring them together. And they have 3 beautiful kids and happily married. Awesome. It all worked out. Also is I don't feel that Marie was the only human being on the planet. So I don't get all twisted and bent out of shape and angry. I'm like, man, if I can meet her, I can meet another one just like her, but one who doesn't cheat, one who does want to be with me, right? So I take full responsibility for that relationship. And then I was married to a woman named Johanna, who's my son's mom. I'm not married to either one of those 2 people, but instead of using them as my excuse marriages don't work and women are this and it was their fault is, wait a minute, I was a common denominator in both of those marriages. They weren't married to each other. I was married to both of them. Again, it's not a blame thing. It's a responsibility. So what does that tell me? Here comes, you're going to hear this and you're going to go, oh my God, it comes right back to the same thing. It's a call to action. I need to work on myself. I need to change how I get into relationships and the partner that I'm looking for. So when you say toxic ex-husband, what the thing is, I would go, wait a minute. Back then, being in a relationship with a person like that, that shows me my own level of self-love that I had for myself back then. I didn't like what I got from it. What's the call to action? So that this comforting feeling says, work on your self-love. Hold yourself to a higher standard. See, because love doesn't tolerate. Love doesn't accept. It doesn't tolerate being abused. It doesn't tolerate being toxic. You know, by the way, you know, when you really love yourself more, you go, somebody acts that way once and you go, I'm done. Not, you know, and so when I got in a relationship with Johanna, my son's mom, I said, you know, you cheat once, we're done. And she goes, wait a minute, Marie had multiple affairs and you forgave her. And I said, oh, I'll forgive you too, but we're done. And she goes, but why after just one? I said, because I've learned how to love myself more. See, because that uncomfortable feeling that I went through back then taught me to, what's the call to action? Work on myself, work on my self-love. So it's awesome. And thank you, Tanya, for sharing that. I appreciate that. Let me see. Fred says, great value. Thank you. One question, when the uncomfortable negative feeling arises, what do you ask yourself in order to turn it around and move into the right decision? Great, Fred. Great question. Number one is get yourself in a good emotional place. Put some music on, dance a little bit, lighten the load up a little bit. Whatever description you put on that is instantly come up with a less intense word. So if you're going, man, I really hate that guy, go, oh, you know what? I'm not a big fan of theirs. Or, man, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you can go, hey, I'm not feeling 100% of my game today. Or maybe I'm a little off today. Something like that. So you're going to lower the intensity. Then you go, okay, what is it that that's causing this feeling? Let's just break it down and talk in a way that doesn't get me emotionally attached to it or make me feel worse. Just do it business-like, going, okay, what is it that's, you know, causing the discomfort right now? And you're like, oh, you know, I'm a little stressed out about doing this presentation in front of my company or my staff. And like, okay, so what's the call to action? You know, prepare my speech, lighten myself up, have fun with this. You know, and whatever that is, whatever the call to action is, then just go do it. And you're like, oh man, that actually made me better. That's awesome. And then after the presentation, in this example, then you want to journalize the journal. And by the way, that means you got to write it down. And that is, what did I do great? No buts, just what did I do great? Write it down. Because by the way, if you did it great once, you'll probably want to do it again. Well, you won't even remember to if you don't write it down. Second, by asking what I do great instantly makes me feel good, and it diverts my focus from focusing on what I did wrong or bad. You didn't do anything bad because you actually went and did it. So what did I do great? That's more empowering, not disempowering. Two is, how can I make it better? It's a strategy question. Whatever you up with is a strategy, put it into action next time. Well, do what you did that was great. Add in, how can you make it better? You have to be better. You're going, man, this is awesome. This is to keep me in that journey of always expanding myself and being better. Life is getting easier and more enjoyable and more successful and more goals are being achieved. This is awesome. So what used to debilitate you now is making you powerful. It's making you a warrior. And then the last question is by what percent did I improve by over the last time? Right? So even if you're talking about asking somebody out, you got shot down, you know, well, what did I do better? Oh, I smiled. Oh, I was more myself. Great. Do that. How can I make it better? You know, whatever the answer is, do it. Then by what did I improve by? You know, you go, well, I improved by 3%. Well, man, the more you keep going on this, the better you're going to get at it until pretty soon you're awesome at it. So, you know, as you see, this is very tactical, specific strategy, but you want to just strip the emotion out of it because the emotion has the drama. And drama creates what I call drama glue. It keeps you stuck in the story. You know, when people are telling me about relationships that are toxic, or, you know, my partner, this, and I go, wait a minute, you got 4 choices and you get to choose. Number 1, do nothing with the relationship. It's probably going to crash and burn. That's disempowering. 2, you can work on a relationship, have a chance to be better. That's called empowering. 3, you can end it in a disempowering way, or you can end it in an empowering way. Do you have any other choices you can come up with? They go, no, that's pretty much it. Great. Which one do you choose? And by the way, if you don't choose one, it automatically puts you in number 1, which is do nothing and watch it crash and burn. So by just stripping the story out, stripping the emotion out, it's easy to make a choice that can empower you and change your life. And the same thing, you know, Marie and I, when we divorced, no lawyers, no fight, no name calling. I gave her more in a settlement than she actually even asked for, because I said, I want you to have a good shot in life. I want you to be prepared. When Johanna, my son's mom, and I separated and divorced, no divorce, no lawyers. I said, just tell me what you want. That's good. Let's do this peacefully. If we communicate, it's easy. And we've got a son, so let's stay friends, so that's all he understands is peace and love. If we really care about our son, that's where we're going to act. But as you notice, I'm not getting emotional. I'm not getting caught up. And sometimes people want to say stuff to you, but if you don't react and you don't get sucked into it, after a while, they realize that button doesn't work. They stop doing it. And if they don't, I just don't spend time with them. So it's easy. Great. So here we go. We're just about ready to wind up. So awesome. If you got value out of today's call, let me know right now in the chat room. Love hearing that. Tell me what you got out of it so far. And like I said, do I have your permission to share with you something that we have coming up that is just a game changer that I'm going to share with you, and also give you an amazing opportunity with it. So Tanya's saying, brilliant. Excellent. I love that. Aaron's loving it. Great. Belinda, Roxanne, Deborah. Awesome. You guys are fantastic. I'm glad that you're on the call. Thanks, Aaron. Penny. Woohoo. Hey, Penny, I have seen you grow so much, and I'm so proud of you. Sean, fantastic. Awesome. So Aaron has provided me with some slides, so I'm going to get off the seeing me live here, and I'm going to go on to the slides so I can let you guys know about our offer that we have coming up. And that is coming up, we have our Find Your Fire retreat. And this is Aaron and I got to tell you, pound for pound, this is one of the best personal development programs I have ever experienced. I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it. We have seen such massive transformation from people. You know, there's a gentleman who came last November who had a very aggressive Tourette syndrome, and within 4 months after attending the retreat, actually has no Tourette's anymore, has a relationship of his dreams, job promotion, making more money. It's a holistic expansion of his world. And if you've been in the Find Your Fire retreat and you're on this call today, please say in the chat room and what you thought about it. Would love to hear your experience and you share it. So the dates are February 22nd to the 25th. It's on North Stradbroke Island, which is just off of Brisbane. I got to tell you, it's a 45-minute ferry ride. You can either take your car or just come across as a passenger. You don't really need your car because there's a bus that waits for every ferry and will literally take you right to the resort that we're doing the program at. But it is the moment you step on the island, you feel like you're in another world. You're in paradise. This is a powerful, life-changing program, and it includes the firewalk. Now, you don't have to firewalk, and you will, because we've had people stand off on the side before. Nobody talks you into it. Nobody's trying to convince you. And they go, you know what? I just want to see what it feels like to be unstoppable. And they kick into gear and they do it. But again, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. The program's not about firewalking. You are going to learn some really amazing things with my amazing wife, yoga, meditation, mindfulness training. People go, oh, that's kind of fluffy and whatever. Look, the formula for all creation is thoughts that get turned into action to produce results. And Wallace D. Wattles, who wrote the book, The Science of Getting Rich, said that you have to leave the competitive mind for the creative mind. So I want you to think about that for a moment. Competitive mind. So he's not talking about competition of others. He's talking about competition for space in your head. If your head's filled with stress, activity, busyness, going at it, massive action, all these things, well, when do you have time to be creative? And if you don't have time to be creative, you don't have time to create new experience, new life, new results. And so that's why you need that space. And I will tell you, a lot of people come in the program and they think I'm going to be the big game changer for them. And it's the stuff they get from Aaron that blows them out of the water. So this is, just wait, you'll love it. And wow, what a masterful teacher she is. So it's 3 nights, 4 days on the beautiful North Stradbroke Island. In the program, it includes your 3 nights accommodation at the Stradbroke Resort. It's either shared bedroom if you come with a partner, or you might share a villa, but everybody has their own bedroom then. You just kind of share the kitchen. Aaron coordinates it so that we put you in, again, with people that you'd be appropriate to network with, and the rest of those things. Private villas are available. You just have to let Aaron know about that, and we can book you in on that. That's a $500 value for your accommodation. That's included in your ticket price, by the way. Also is that there's bonuses that we're going to give you for, like I said, being on today's call and for coming to the retreat, over $1,400 in bonuses. One of those bonuses is that you're going to have Aaron's 8-week online program, Mindfulness Meditation, Transforming Stress into Peace. That's valued at $497. That is awesome. Game changer for people. They're loving that program. Also is you're going to get a follow-up coaching call with Aaron and I. That's a live call. That happens 3 weeks after the retreat is over. And it's to tune you back up, get you up to a higher speed so that you have consistent tools. So you don't come work for a while and then it starts to fade out. We want to keep you on track so that that new trajectory you're on becomes your new habit. And that's what creates real lasting change. That call is valued at over $795. We include that with your ticket price. Also, you're going to get a copy of my #1 international selling book called How Would Love Respond, and our wall art, which is all the best quotes from How Would Love Respond. That's valued at $115. We include that. And all your meals from the best caterer on the planet. Wait until you taste Sonia's cooking. You'll want to come back to a retreat just for the cooking. That's valued at $300. And so, and then there's one-on-one time with Aaron and I throughout the program. We have meals with you guys. You can ask any question. By the way, there's only 40 people who come to the retreat. We purposely keep it at that, so it's very intimate, and you have a lot of one-on-one time with us. The normal price, if you go to the website right now, is $19.97. The webinar price today is $13.97. So you save $598 right off the top from taking action today. That's a 30% saving. We have very limited seats. There's only 12 spots available, and I will tell you they will sell out very rapidly. So Aaron's saying you got 72 hours to make your decision to come on board with that. She does have that's a full price for a shared room ticket. That's if you come with your partner. That is $17.97. But if you sign up today, $11.99. That's a 40% savings, $698 off. And that's if you share a room together. There's only, like I said, only 12 spots available. The 12 spots aren't for the accommodation. It's for the program, because we only allow 40 people into the program. So you get 72 hours to make your decision. So a single ticket is $13.999. Shared room is $11.99 per ticket per person. Remember, you get the $1,400 in bonuses, and there's the link right there that you can cut and paste, and it will take you to the webinar price for going to the program and registering for your ticket. Also is that if you need a payment plan or something like that for the program, email Erin immediately. Now, I don't handle that. Erin does. If that's available, she will let you know. We want you there. Take the action. Be a person who goes, man, I want to be unstoppable. I want my life different. I want to have real changes. Don't get, I will tell you personal stories. I watched my dad, when he was passing away, have a lot of regret for the life he didn't get to live. And, death came up faster than he was 78 years old, but still he was like, man, I barely even scratched the surface. I should have lived more. Too late. Live it now. Find your fire, find your passion again. Turn it on, and I'm sincere when I say this. If it's not our program, if it's not coaching with me, if it's not coming to the Find Your Fire retreat program, find somebody immediately. Go find somebody else immediately. Because if you put this on the back burner, you invested your time to be on today's webinar and listen to it, don't let it end here. This should be the beginning of your journey, not the end of it. But if you put it on the back burner, it fades away. It loses momentum. Time has life has a way of taking your time away from you and getting you busy with other stuff, and you miss it. And then later on, you're just farther down the journey, and you're like, man, what was I thinking? I threw so much time away that if I had the time again, I'd do it differently. So if it's not us, and I hope it is, but if it's not, go find somebody and a program immediately and invest in yourself. If you look at the word investment, investment, it's right there in the word. I invest in me. It's right there in the word. The best investment you can make is in your own personal development, because when you grow, your experience of life grows, and the way that you can help the people that you love and care about, their life expands, and you're helping them get better skills and tools and a better enjoyment of life. So your whole world expands when we work on ourselves. And remember that all your dreams come true when you make the decision to make them come true. So God bless. Thanks for being on the call today. I hope you got real value from it, and come to the Find Your Fire retreat. And please make sure you come up and give me a hug. And I'd love to meet you in person and share with what you got on this call. Until I talk with you again, have a most outstanding day.